So, welcome back to Lightwave Guru Bhermansen. So you give up and you want to have the, in German, Rezept, yeah? The Rezept, or what it is in English, yeah? Okay, let us take a look in what way it works, yeah? The donut-based, I call it magnet field. In the end, is it not a magnet field? It looks like a magnet field, and the simple thing is it's a wind field, yeah? And the wind mode is donut, yeah? So you can catch all particles that comes out of a particle system or from a 3D object and catch it with that wind field and hold it in that wind field. And in the preview it looks like that, yeah? So that for donuts put out particles. And then we have here around that the wind field with a size from 10 meters. And all the particles would now follow that wind field. That's all. Yeah. And if you play with a particle weight and with a particle resistance, you can give every from that particles that come out of that objects in the wind field a specific function. So you see what you see there is all wave functions. And all the wave functions are captured with a donut, with a donut wind field. And that's really cool. And in the end, I think that's now clear for you. That means, for example, so that you have that kind of output here. Let us take a look from top, yeah? So if you see it from top, you see in what way the particles comes out from all the objects. And that's only in the object a defined place. And the reason for that is it's special functions in the FX emitter, and just call it object line. Yeah. So if you put out with a specific birth rate per generated frame that particles and nozzle, the nozzle is object line, then you can, in combination with the explosion parameter, define in what way go the particles, and then if the particle goes out from that object line function, in what way it would be grabbed from the FX wind, from the donut field. And with that you can change the look and how it looks like. So if you play it then, so by the way, that's real time and also real-time render it. You need for that not build PFX files before. So you can also press play and then it runs and do what it do. For example, we have that now that little donut here, and it spread out his particles with 10 particles per frame out of the object line. So then the particle come in contact with the wind field, and that wind field is donut. That donut grabs that particles, and then the particles in the end would be rotate about that donut. And the second is this object is animated over time, so that it can over the time close the loop here. And if you play it long enough, then you see what the donut field do with its own spiral function with the particles. So the first is that the wind field here, this wind field, grabs the particles, and we have here spiral thickness from 100. That means that if a particle comes in contact with that wind field, it cannot go in another way. So it's holded them. And the second is the spiral amount, and the spiral amount is the rotation about that axis here. So if you see it, for example, here, you see it, that's that axis. And all the other things you can build with the other function of the particles. For example, if you are here and it comes out from object line, you see that you have here different particle resistance, for example, and particle weight. So you can change that. And for example, let us do it here. For example, I build now in here particle resistance from 0.5 and not from 1, and we start the simulation one more time. Wait a second, I make something wrong. So now Now we can see, and now you can see what the particle do. It go in another way out from the object in the middle, and then it would be grabbed from the dominated wind donut field, and if it comes in contact, then it begins to begin to rotate about the donut field. Yeah, and so you can paint in, if you have a little bit level of abstraction in your head, many forms if you want, and in the end you have that kind of objects. That comes then if you united all that particle systems with the OpenVDB function. Yeah, so for that I built a VDB object for me. That's there here. That's that object in the middle here, and I built with the OpenVDB evaluator my own setup, so I can show it here. Oh, let us make it in that way. I put it here online first, so that you see what's now happen if I change that particle weight for that animation. That means I can build in seconds then another mesh. Yeah, so in the moment Lightwave builds a mesh. So that's now the actual mesh. Yeah, and this is built with that setup in the OpenVDB evaluator. So what you see is that mesh two volumes are all the donuts, that 5 donuts, and this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things here are the particles from the particles. Yeah. So when I built here in here simple the CSG to put it all in one. Yeah. If you are very clever, you build your setup in that way that all particle systems you put in grid new, then you have not set masses on the CSGs, but in the end this optional thing I built in here, so that you, for example, can now unite all the particle systems, or you say, okay, subtract one particle system from another, or intersect them. So that's only optional. If you want only united, you do not need all that options here. Then you can kill all that and build one big CSG file, yeah, and do that. So that's here only for if you would build in later some options. Yeah, for example, you would intersect some parts or something like that. Yeah, and in the end you have that kind of thing. That's really not a special technique. You have only to know in what way you have to build your OpenVDB setup. Yeah, all that have one scalar node here. That scalar node is here, that level is 0.02. That's only to define the size of the mesh voxels in that grid, yeah, and that for the value of that OpenVDB grid. And then you can build over time things like that. Yeah, so you can much more things do. That's only one from my, if I have a half hour to play a little bit with that options. Yeah, so OpenVDB in Lightwave is very funny weapon. Can do many things with them. Yeah, and in the end, then if you say for yourself, okay, that's what I want. Yeah, then you can build things like this here. Yeah? And then you have it. So there's nothing special on them. Yeah. So that's all. So I can show it one more time. For example, if you would see the OpenVDB parameters one more time, make a screenshot. Yeah, then you can play for yourself. So the simplest way to begin is with, for example, 2 particle systems, and bring the particles in contact with another, yeah, in the area that the voxel size is, and then you can play with a CSG union with a Boolean node, for example here intersection, subtract or something. So you can do much more as I do here. I do here only union, yeah, but you can also think for setups there. One particle system subtract from another particle system or something like that. Or you build a mix from a particle system and a mesh, and that mesh you use, you can bring on Boolean functions also with the particle system. So for example, you have a gravity center, an object, and then you build a particle system outside from that object and shoot particles on them. Then every particle, they come in contact with that mesh it to volume objects. If you use the subtract options, make a hole in that object, yeah, for example, something like that. So you can imagine endless things there. And that kind of abstract animations, all based on, yeah, it looks a little bit like some, yeah, electrical physics or something like that. I don't know. For me, it's art, you know, spiral art or particle-based system art. Yeah, so call it in that way. But in the end, it's simple: a wind field and some particle systems and the OpenVDB function. Yeah. So I hope it helped you a little bit. Yeah. Bhermansen, have a nice time. Later. Yeah. Bye.